Welcome everybody to the Cool Down Den. It's your host, so you guys already know what to do. All right. To this week's episode, man, I got a couple things to say. They say success looks glamorous from the outside, but behind every win, there's a grind most people just don't see. The sleepless nights, the bills piling up, the moments of doubt. I know for sure I got a bunch of those moments, let me tell you. The sacrifices nobody claps for, that you get no recognition for. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what it really means to chase the dream while living through the struggle. Because let's be honest, the come up ain't easy, but it's always going to be worth it. At least that's what they tell us. So I'm joined today by two beautiful women who are really powerful in their own rights, who I'm pretty sure have struggles to tell, even though they have stuff to show for it that you probably cannot tell they struggle. Let me see. They've persevered with their resilience, survival, and ambition while navigating life as part of a working and or lower middle class person. We're going to talk about the bills, the daily hustle, and the mental toil, and the vision that keeps us moving forward, even when everything around us says stop. 'Cause I don't know about y'all, everything says stop for me. So let's dive in. Okay, so the first question I have, and I'm gonna let whoever wants to talk first. It doesn't matter. So to start, let's talk about the day to day reality. All right. How do you manage paying bills when your income feels stretched thin? Either one of y'all. Who wants to go first?
Okay. So for me personally, how I manage paying bills, even when everything is stretched thin, is, I kind of make sure that I use my resources. So I am a planner list kind of person, right? So even when I know my money not gonna be long, and there be plenty of weeks where it don't be long, I
Mm-hmm.
take my planner at the beginning of each week and I write down everything that's gonna be due. I line it up versus what I know I have, not what I think I'm gonna get, but what I have because anything can happen, and then I just go from there. If there are moments where I need to call somebody, get put on a payment plan, we make it do what it do. But I do like to make sure that what I'm saying, if I gotta sacrifice my white chocolate mocha so I can get my extra couple dollars so I can
No, it's
make sure my bills is paid, I sacrifice my white chocolate mocha with my 3 shots of espresso. We make it do what it do.
hey, that I don't know about you, but I love a white chocolate mocha. Let me stop lying. I'm not even a big coffee person. I'm not even a big coffee person.
I am.
But
My coffee order is so ridiculous. It is a small and or medium iced white chocolate mocha. I go to a place called Seven Brew. I change the milk to almond milk, the white chocolate sauce to sugar free. I get a like 4 to 6 pumps of sugar free vanilla syrup, depending on if it's small or if it's medium.
got it.
I add some like brown cinnamon sugar. Like it's a lot. My
You
my
hey
order is a
hey that
lot.
that thing probably sound like it's gonna be real good though.
Yes, I
It definitely
wish
sounds like it's
I
gonna be
had one
good.
of those close here.
All right, so Bree, what about you? What do you do when finances is not always there? How do you make it through the week?
I mean, to be fair, I pretty much do the same thing. I look at what's in the account and not what may come or may not come, and then decide in order of like importance and my necessity, what do I need to live? I need this house, so that has to be paid. This water, I need that. That has to be paid. I need these lights because I'm in college still. So I need these computers to work and I need this internet to work. So that has to be paid. I might not need that car insurance right away because the probability of me getting stopped isn't high. Possibility may be high. Probability
Mhm.
not. So,
Mhm.
sometimes that has done a little lapse. But I go in order of importance of what I need to live and I pay that, make sure that that is paid. And then, like she said, use your resources. Don't be afraid to call them people and let them know, like, hey, I can't pay this week. Please don't
No,
put a
for
late fee
real.
on it. I'm gonna get y'all next week or the week after. But because the same way the bill's gonna come, a paycheck is gonna come too if you have a job or if you're hustling in some manner. And so, not being afraid to advocate for yourself and use your resources.
Definitely heavy on the advocate for yourself and the using your resources. I'll give you the biggest example, right? So I've been out of college for a hot little minute, and it's time for me to pay my student loans. I knew that I didn't have it. Now, I could have kept ignoring them people, but I knew that was going to take my credit. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I was like, let me stop being a little baby. I called them. We were actually able to get to a point where they could push it out for me for a couple months while I put back what needed to be put back. They were able to readjust my plan because I called them and it lowered my payment and it took something that I could be able to handle. And then,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, in regards to advocating for yourself, there were plenty of times where I got bills that were incorrect.
Mm,
Advocate for yourself and make sure that you're talking to them people because that is the same thing as, that helps you with being able to make it through the week. If you don't need to pay it, then you mean calling people and be like, hey, no, something
No,
got
yeah.
to
for
be
sure.
done.
For sure. And being in sales, I get a lot of bill calls all the time, right? I get a lot of bill calls and they're like, my bill's too high. Now, of course, they teach us to try to turn that into a sale. But even still, I hear people and I'm just like, yo, you gotta I think the biggest thing is that I'm learning for myself is navigating the struggle really is just being forward thinking about things that could possibly happen or what you currently have at your disposal to take care of those situations if they arise. And you
Hmm.
guys are very good at that, at thinking forwardly, thinking ahead, and saying, hey, you know what? I know I don't got this. I got something that may come in, but I don't know if so let me plan for if it don't, just in case.
Call
And
that
so
being proactive instead of
Mhm.
exactly.
reactive.
And also speaking to what Jess said about you need to look at what your bill says because even at my college, when I went there for my undergrad, it was free for the students to go to the help center. As a master's level student, it was not free, or a graduate level student, it wasn't free anymore. And so they like triple charged me for a thing that what should have been free though. So I shouldn't even be charged in the first place because I was just doing a walk in. But I looked at my student account and I'm like, dang, I owe them folks like $400 for what?
They be trying.
And so I had to call them and be like, this is not supposed to be on here. And so making sure that you're not only advocating for yourself, but you're even looking to be able to advocate for yourself. Sometimes if I would have never looked, I would have just paid them as I do
Hmm.
when I just pay my tuition, I get the bill and pay it. But I'm like,
Hmm.
something's not right about this bill. So
Gotta
making
100%.
read
sure,
them. Gotta
yeah,
read them. Can't just put them on the counter. You got to read them.
No, that is 100% true. Because and I've noticed that with myself personally, just you have to be take that short. Be first and foremost, that call is hard. Let's be honest. The call is definitely hard. Hey, I don't got it, big dog. Like I don't know. And they ask you, well, when you gonna have it? Shit, I don't know. Your guess as good as mine. Like you don't know when you gonna have it, but you do know. Like I want to pay it because I don't want y'all on my back. So I definitely want to get it paid. But not to raise your
I'll
head.
tell you another thing as well. When you call them, even if you don't have like a big amount to be able to pay, a lot of them, if you just give them $20, $25,
yeah,
$30, just to have something on it, a lot of the time they'll be very willing to work with you. They just have to have something on file to know that you're at least trying. Like, hey, they
Hmm.
don't got it, but we at least got a little bit. We at least trying. Like when we do have it, we'll make it happen. But for now, here's what I do.
Right. Exactly. You got to
and
make it work.
be kind because a lot of the people that do call people that are in collections or billing or what have you, those people are rude to them literally all day. And so I know anytime I call, I'm extra kind. And they're usually willing to work with me. And they're like, oh my God, you're the nicest person I've talked to all day. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And I'm going to be nice. And so go ahead and put that late fee off to the side.
No,
Baby.
facts. No, that is so true. Because working in customer service and sales, when people call me and they nice, I'm like, let me look at some shit that I know we got in the back pocket real quick.
Yeah.
Because we be having, so let's be honest. Anybody who works in the call center, we all know there are things that you have that you're not
Hmm.
supposed to give out. That you do give out, you probably gonna get a steward, from your manager. But for the right person, you like, you know what? I'll
Yeah.
go ahead and take that little cussing out by my boss because she was nice and she deserved because they all have it. Every job,
Too.
every company has something about that not everybody supposed to know about. But if you're nice enough, they'll go ahead and just slide that over there, unless whatever it may be, whether it's a discount, whether it's some credit, whatever. They all got something to help out,
Yeah.
but they're not gonna do that to everybody. So with that being said, I know, Jazz, you already talked about your white mocha. Sometimes you got to sacrifice your white mocha. So for now, the next question I'm gonna have is, I'm gonna let Bree go first since you already told yours. So what are some small sacrifices you make daily just to keep moving forward to pursue your dreams?
So to be fair, I guess it's not really something that is done daily, but I guess I'm living in it daily. So I moved back into my mother's house because I knew that when I went to grad school, I did not want to have to take out any loans. I was not prepared to be in. So I used to work in the admissions and records and registration office. I seen how much debt all of the students were in. $80,000, $100,000, $150,000. I wasn't willing to have that for my grad school degree. And so I moved back home. I let go of my apartment. I let go of all of the things, brought them back to my mother's house. And I moved into my mother's house so I could be able to work full time and go to school full time and graduate when I did this fall. Well, this summer, fall.
She almost there, y'all.
No, I'm done. But I graduated in August because it was a summer graduation, a summer walk, but a
Okay,
August
got you.
graduation. But to be able to graduate debt free, and so it's not something that I'm actively doing, but I lived in giving up my apartment, giving up the lifestyle I was living out of town to be able to make sure that I didn't have to be in debt for the rest of my. Well, some people are in debt for the rest of their life, but in debt for the next 20, 30 years.
And that's big. That is big
Yeah.
because I mean, I know you saying it ain't that big, but that is big. You gave up your freedom.
That's huge.
You gave up your freedom. You gave up, and I'm gonna be blunt honest. You gave up
Hmm.
the option to have booty calls whenever you want, just because you want, have no debt. Hey, it's a big
Well,
sacrifice. You
shoot,
gotta
being
make
in
up for
debt gonna stop booty calls too. I ain't gonna lie, you can't be stressed out and whatnot. And
Listen,
maybe you can't.
and when you make a decision like that, it's also like you are completely just getting rid of like the. I know some people are embarrassed to have to go back to the, but you are just like, listen, I gotta do what I gotta do. I don't care about what nobody thinking, don't care what nobody
no, no, no,
talking
yeah,
about. I've got to make my sacrifice for the betterment of the long term.
no,
Hmm.
absolutely. I remember I was talking to one of my friends and they was like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And I'm like, "Well, to be honest, I don't have to prove to nobody that I can struggle and be in debt. That's not helping. No one is helping me pay for these books. Ain't nobody helping me pay this tuition. No one's helping me get gas to travel back and forth from city to the city that my college is in. That is all on me. And although my mom, she does help, I was paying for all of that tuition out of pocket. Like I was watching the money leave, and I was like, "Oh no, this just won't do. This will
Mhm.
not do."
Hmm. Mm.
I said, "All right, girl, I'm coming home."
So, Jazz, for you, what is? I mean, you already said your white mocha, but is there anything else that that you may give up just or daily sacrifices to keep moving?
Man, daily sacrifices for me just to be able to keep moving. Definitely cutting out the eating out 100%. That's one of the biggest things I learned as I was going through my bank account and going, where is my money going? Now,
Mhm.
as a nurse, at the end of the day, I'm going to keep it a band. I didn't want to cook jack. I didn't want to come home and cook nothing. So baby girl was on that DoorDash. Me and DoorDash, we was locked in like twin. I was a VIP member. If I called, they were like, "You are one of our most valued." I'm like, "I know, baby. I give you good money." So what I had to do was to go to the grocery store, be mindful that only two people live here, so I don't need a bunch. Just plan for what you're actually going to eat and then stick to it. If you gotta cook it ahead of time and meal prep, like when we hop off here, I'm gonna go make some chicken and rice soup in a crock pot to be ready for like Monday through Wednesday for dinner so that when I come home I don't have to worry about that. And I'm not spending $40+ a day on DoorDash. So that's just one of the small financial daily sacrifices that I make to be able to make it do what it do and keep moving forward financially.
Yeah, you got to. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Can I be real with y'all? I have still not learned that yet. And it's well, let me make it clear. I've learned it, but I have not disciplined myself to do it yet
Oh, it takes
because
time.
it is, especially when you like, I cook, and 'cause I'm a pretty good cook, and I can cook very well. But then it's just like for me, it's like okay, then I gotta wash the dishes, then I gotta do this, and then I live in a house with two other people, so then they gonna go eat my food before I can even get to it. And so it's a whole lot. So yes, there's a whole lot of different things that can be worked on, and
Mhm.
so that convenience of DoorDash is what really, was what's theirs. But I'm just like you. I'm just like you. I hit up DoorDash about a mess up order, and they like, "Hey, Stu, we got you. Don't even worry about it, big dog. Like we gonna get your money back. We locked in." But so I don't got no problem with DoorDash. DoorDash do me right, but that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. You
Hold
start
on, 'cause
doing
that
that.
be being jealous. I live in the city, ain't no DoorDash. There's like 2 people here who DoorDash, and both of those people, you don't want your food in their car.
No, have you ever had a DoorDash order where you get it and it smells like straight weed? The
Or
bag,
cigarettes.
I'm
or
I'm not gonna
cigarettes.
lie to you. I don't have those problems. I ain't gonna hold you. I live in a subdivision.
Shout out to you.
so
Amen. Amen.
so
Amen.
they know where they coming to. That's when they come to this place, they're like, all right, I need to maximize on my tip. So I gotta be mindful. I even had one lady, I gave her a cash tip on top of what I did in DoorDash because she communicated with me. She called me and she put
Mm-hmm.
my food in a hot bag, y'all. When I got my food, it was still steaming.
Yeah, people like that, I tip for sure. I don't tip often, and here's the reason why. I feel like you have to earn your tip. Before people come at me, before people come and Stu, you a cheap ass. No, let me explain. Let me explain. You have to. I used to tip on every order, but then I realized orders would still get messed up. Niggas was stealing my fries. Like, what am I tipping you for eating my food?
So
So I learned that you could tip afterwards.
so my
Well, they might
theory
be
on
eating your
that, even if you just do a minimal tip, because of the hassle of having to go get it and bring it to me, I at least begin with a minimal tip, like $3. I'm not thinking about $3, and
Shit, I am.
then
Look,
well, at that point that
see,
your
look,
food is
we on
already
different struggles.
44.
We on different struggles right now. So maybe you can afford those $3, but $3 to me, that's another meal for later. So look, so my thing is if I'm gonna give you I don't know, maybe, and I grew up and I had this conversation with friends all the time. I don't believe in just participation trophies. And so I feel like if you're doing a job, you're already getting paid to do that job regardless. Now, if you go above and beyond, I'm gonna throw you $20 tip. I'm gonna do that. That's See, when I do tip, I tip big. The thing is, I just don't tip all the time. But when I tip big, and so that kind of counters it, right? The people who deserve it get tipped big. If you don't deserve it, you don't get tipped at all. That's how I feel it. So that's how I feel it. But we're gonna get back into it because right now we're talking about struggles, not tipping. That could be different podcasts for different
But say
day.
they struggling.
They may be struggling, so make sure to order right, so that way you don't gotta struggle as much.
You know what? I ain't gonna lie, they might have took your food because you didn't give them no tip.
Here, and that's which is why I stopped tipping to start. I remember I had that happen once where somebody did stuff and they got mad at me. I said, you can tip after the fact, right? There's a whole there's a whole thing where it says how was your order, and once you press it was a good order, it gives you the option to tip after. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, well, you're not getting tip now. Bye. Yes, I can tip after the fact, and when you're good, I do. Heftily, I do. If you're a good person, I tip $20, $30, whatever I got at the time to really do that. But I no longer pre-tip ever. I don't do that. I don't do that. So how does the pressures of finances? I mean, since we talk about finances now, how does the pressures of finance weigh you down on your mental health? Have you guys ever been like mentally drained or just mentally just out of it because of finances? Jazz, you go first.
those that don't know, there was a point in time in my life when I was in college where it was just me, my car, my nice little Nissan at the time, and my Bible. That's it. Me, my car, and my Bible. I had my Bible. That's it. And so, like, kindly, I have friends that, especially when we had class and stuff, would let me kick it on the couch. The man that's not my husband, even I could stay on the couch that was like in the living area in their dorm room. So, I didn't always have it where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So there were plenty of times where, and anybody will tell you, that's probably why my sleep schedule is trash now. I used to work like almost 24 hours, even while still going to school, to be able to just try to make some shape. Just try to make
Mm,
some shape. As I moved out of the house at 17, and then I never went back. So it was like, you know what I'm saying? I gotta make some shape. So
Yeah.
right.
definitely weighed on my mental health because I'm like, yo, I've been working forever. Like I gotta get this out of the mud. How am I gonna make this shake? How am I gonna make sure I get at least something to eat? How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do that? How am I gonna pay for this? How is this gonna get taken care of? I need this for class. Like how? So it definitely can weigh on your mental health. For me, with that, because of that, I started going to counseling and therapy because it was a service that was available as a student. And I would, begin to talk to her about those things. And, now I am where I am, and I still have my moments where it's like, hey, Lord, how? Like, how? But I'm able to process it a little bit better now than I was back then. But when you feel that pressure, like you gotta make something shake, and now I've got nieces, nephews, a little brother who's only 11. I'm about to have to make it shake for them for the holidays, so to take some of that pressure up off of my parents and my little sister. So it's just like you just have to take a moment to give yourself a pat on the back and say, "I work hard." Take a second. I work hard. Then take a second to realize that even though you've got some pressure upon you, where you are is still blessed. You still have at least something to eat. You still have at least some level of roof over your head, and you're still going. You're still
Mm-hmm.
here. So if you're still here, that means there's a chance for it to get better. When you can shift your perspective while you're going through with the finances, it helps you to be able to have a clear vision of where you're going to go next to
Mm.
be able to push through the financial situation.
So basically, you say like you gotta make sure your goals or whatever your goals is outweighs what your current struggle is because
Yes.
you got to be able to focus on
Because
what.
at the end of the day, you don't change the goal. You may change the plan to get to the goal, but you don't
Mhm.
change the goal.
Wise words from Nurse Jazz right there. Wise words, wise words. So Bree, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you the question once again. Um, if I can find a question, hold on. I got my glasses is okay. So how do the pressure the finances weigh on your mental health? Like, 'cause you already said that you went and moved back in with your mother. And so what I guess was that a financial decision for you, or was that more like how does that help weigh on your mental health having to make decisions like that?
I mean, no, that was definitely a financial decision. That decision was coming between, do I want to be in debt when I graduate? I'm in my 30s now. Do I want to spend at least all the rest of my 30s in debt? Do I want to go into my 40s in debt? Do I want to start my future if I get married or any of those things? Do I want to be in debt? Do I want to bring that baggage with me to whoever I'm going to be with? It was for sure a financial decision, but it was also a decision that I contemplated not moving back home because then why do you want to, in this dating age, why do I want to have to explain to somebody that I live with my mama? Like, what is going to be the shame behind me saying, well, no, I can't, you can't come over here. I can't have you over here because I live at home with my mother. And so I thought about that for a while, but it was more a financial decision more than a mental health decision. I knew
Mhm.
that I did not want to have I just didn't want to be in debt. And there's no excuse for being in debt if you don't have to be. Like, that was my thought. You were offered a place to go to. And if I don't take this, the debt is my fault. And so I guess it saved me from the stress of, or the mental health aspect of the pressure of that financial situation that would have came had I been in debt and then the interest on that. But I would just like to say, thank you, Jesus, and thank you to my mother
Mm.
because I don't really have any any mental health related situations as it relates to being finances. I get to work and I pay these bills because I have, and like my bills, my personal bills, the only bills that are related to me specifically because I don't have a mortgage on this house. It's paid off. I'm living in a place where everything is rent free and is bill free for me. And so I don't
Shout out to your
have
mama.
those things. I mean, shout out to her.
Shout out to your mom because at the end of the day, man, that is awesome. That is great that she laid the foundation to where you can make decisions like this. 'Cause I'm gonna be honest, I'm not that lucky. I'm not that lucky. I'm not that blessed. For
Yeah,
anybody who knows my story, at least the past couple months, I've had to be that nigga, like for for my mother, my little brother. So I wasn't that blessed. So I have to make decisions at a very young age. I had to make decisions like, yeah, how am I going to do this? How am I things I shouldn't be making? I shouldn't be making decisions at 25, 20. I mean, you probably should be making them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to have fun at party, but I didn't have that luxury, right? So I definitely understand that you were blessed, and that's awesome that you're blessed. So you can stay focused on what you want to do instead of having to focus on lights and gas and
yeah,
mortgage and because these are all real conversations, all real things that happen, and it is part of the come up.
mhm.
Being able to come up out of wherever you came from, right? So shout out to your mama, 100%. Give her a hug and kiss, because she had to go through a whole lot to make sure you have stable footing.
No,
And
for
to have
sure.
stable footing is crucial. And I've had this conversation with my mama. I was like, Ma, I know you want this from me, you want that from me. Can you just give me a place to put my feet where it's not sinking? If I can have stable footing, I am good. I will do everything else. I'll do the work for everything else. I just need stable. I just need stability. You give me stable footing and stability, I'll work on my weight loss. I can do that because it gives you so
One
much
less thing to
time.
think about
One
too.
less you don't have to think about. You don't have to think about surviving.
Mhm.
And I actually I've told my friend this not too long ago because I know you all don't know my story too much, but I was recently homeless like 5, 6 months ago. And so now that I'm back and I'm doing stuff a lot better now, everybody's working in the house, everybody's doing good now. I was talking to my friend the other day. He said, "So what's different now?" And I said, "I'm no longer in survival mode. Now I'm in grind mode."
Yes,
And
Yes,
I don't think for some people they may not know what the difference of that is. I think the difference between grinding and surviving is two totally different things.
it
absolutely.
is two
Because when you're
totally different things.
surviving, you're doing what you have to do. You're doing what you have to. They're like some things that may be options for people are not options for you. You have to do them. And that weighs, at least for me, it weighed mentally. Like I have to do this. Otherwise, the consequences are way bigger than what they could be for somebody who doesn't have to. And
Mhm.
so when you're grinding, you don't have to do this. I don't have to grind. I can just wake up, roll in my bed, go to work, and go back to sleep, and then boom, there you go. Like now, of course, I'm not gonna make it nowhere if I do that. But that's why it's a grind because you're choosing to do that to be a better person. It's where you're grinding for what you're doing, where you're grinding jazz for your business, for your nieces and nephew. You're grinding right now. You don't have to do it, but you're choosing to do it because you're
Mhm, mhm.
grinding to do it. Right? That's a grind, right?
Mhm.
And so that's why it's a grind. So I'm
One thing too, and I was thinking about it as you were talking. So at this point, I don't have the mental stress. However, my mom, in her profession, she works with people in their retirements for their retirement planning. And so for me, the planning for when I got here started back when I was in like fifth grade. To just keep it a band, we need to save this money until you get because I college was not an option. I was going. They've been planning that since, and so I've been having to put in the legwork from then to now that I can be on a like a smooth sail because
mhm.
I guess the mental stress came before. I was thinking about it before having to work on it and think about it before I got to this point.
Again, being proactive so you don't
Yeah,
have to be reactive.
yeah,
And
Exactly.
like again, once you get into a place where you can just grind, it's always important to remember that you are in a place where you can just grind. Because sometimes when we've been living in survival mode for so long, it's hard to come up out of a lot of the way that we think because sometimes it's like we have to remind ourselves we're not there anymore. Like
yes.
things could be better, but we aren't where we were. And so that's a big thing with the mental aspect of it as well. I'm not in the back seat of my Nissan anymore. I'm not. That's not me
Amen.
no more. I
Amen.
don't have to stay there mentally. So it's that's a big part too.
That's a huge part. That is a huge part, and I think that goes right into the next question: is of have you ever felt guilt or shame of where you are financially? Maybe not now, but maybe back when you were grinding. 'Cause I know personally, and I'm just gonna say my little thing here personally. I 100% felt guilty. Like I had this conversation with my friends all the time. Like, bro, I'm 30 years old and I still just don't got shit figured out. I'm a man. I'm supposed to have this shit figured out by now, and it's hard. And I don't, once again, I'm not making this a man versus woman thing. Everybody got their own struggles. But it's something about being a man at 30 years old in America, especially as a black man, and you don't got shit figured out. The way people look at you is different. It's different. The way they look at
Ooh,
you is so different. And it's just like, and so like if I go to try to ask for help, ooh, like, why don't you got to figure it out? The looks and the way people talk to you is so different. Now, of course, everybody goes to their own thing. I'm gonna let you talk, Jeff. You was eating you live. The way people talk to you when anybody's going through stuff is definitely bad, 100%. But
Mhm.
just from my personal point of view, when you're down as a black man in America, it is terrible. It is so bad compared to any other thing. Now, everybody got it bad, but that's just my POV. Jazz, go ahead.
okay. So I'll speak to me personally first because I am who I am and I am a person that always takes care of people. That's been my role since before an age where it should have been. But I won't say because everything that happened to me shaped me for who I am today. I'll say it was at an earlier age than I would have liked. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
When I didn't have it, I felt guilty at that time, but I had to unlearn some things, right? I had to unlearn some things. So now I'm going to tie it back to what you were saying.
Mhm.
Take it off of just talking about me and Bree for a moment. Feel like we have done black men a disservice, um, in America in specific, because at the end of the day, and this is something that I had to unlearn so that I can give my friends a space to come be safe and be vulnerable with me when they're in those moments. You don't have to have it all together. When I was younger, I thought 30 was so old, baby. You are just beginning life. You have so much more life to live, Lord. Let you see it. Because let's be honest, the economic state of where we are right now is not the same. We can't compare it to what we've seen in the past. You need always encourage for black men to give themselves more grace and to connect themselves with women who are going to give you that grace and give you that space to just be. You don't have to have it figured out. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you less of an adult. It doesn't make you less of a person. You don't have to feel guilty. You are a human who, just like everybody else, is just trying to figure it out. The fact that you acknowledge that you don't have it figured out leaves you space and room to be able to begin to get strategy on how you are going to figure it out. And if one
Okay.
plan doesn't work, you move to the next one. When that plan doesn't work, you move to the next one. Like I said before, you don't change the goal, you just change the avenues to get to the goal, but never feel like in those moments where you don't have it all together or you don't have what you feel like you need, that you aren't still worthy, that you aren't still capable, that you aren't still that guy. Because at the end of the day, you are. No
Mhm.
matter what society has formed and given to our black men to believe about themselves and they just got to provide, 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 provide. No, even without the providership, you are still worth everything. And so I just want to leave you in specific with that.
I appreciate that. I First of all, I didn't know we was gonna have a sermon today. I went to church once, and I'm going to church twice. I appreciate that. I appreciate that because that is good, and that is need that is something I need to hear. I do hear it. I do hear it from time to time, but just I gotta continue hearing that because definitely is a lot of training. I would say training, for lack of better words,
hmm
that us men go through. That like Especially the music stuff that you hear nowadays. Man,
It's a
look, so yeah,
conditioning.
it's a conditioning,
Mhm.
100%.
Men have been conditioned, especially black men, to believe that the biggest thing that they can offer is providership. It's in the books, it's in the movies, it's in the music, it's in the Facebook posts. But that's just not the reality. That's not the only thing that y'all bring to the table. And it you guys deserve to have people to be in your corner to remind you, hey, it's not together right now, but it's gonna be. So let's pick our head up, readjust our
Mhm.
crown real quick, and get back in motion.
Now I see why you married. Okay. I see 100%. Shout out to him, man. He got him a good one. Got him a good one. Shout out. Okay. Okay. I forgot the damn question. Let me go back,
Shoot,
man.
me too. I'm looking, I'm
I
like,
mean,
"Alright, let me."
just so Bree, have you ever felt guilt or shame about where you are financially or where you might have been financially? And how do you deal with that if you do?
I definitely felt it a lot more in my undergrad as it related to, like, my peers. As a Black woman who went to a PWI, there's some of the ladies that I was in contact with had a lot more financial resources and just people resources in general to be able to get things that I was not able to have, and so there was definitely a shame there because when I was in my undergrad, I was going to school, going home. I wasn't going to school, staying on campus, playing around, being able to buy this, being able to buy that. And like I wanted to pledge and I wasn't able to pledge because of the financial aspect of that. And so there was a shame around not being able to fully function as an undergrad college student, not being able to go where my peers were going, and then feeling guilty that I like let myself down because I knew I wanted to do those things too. But I had responsibilities and requirements that put those things in a place that I couldn't. And even with some of my at home friends, like I had a really good friend and she shows up 110% for me all the time when I didn't have anything. She would be just volunteering. She would volunteer money to me, like, hey, here's $30 for lunch. Have a good lunch on me, just randomly. And I felt bad because I could not do the same thing for her while I was in that space, while I was grinding, trying to get my first degree. And I was like, okay, well, when this is over, I need to make sure I do something really nice for her. But I felt it was borderline sickening knowing that I couldn't do when I wanted to. And so definitely that shame was on me. But as I've grown, I just had to think, my financial situation is not a reflection of how smart I am or what the effort I'm putting in or like any value that I have or that anybody else has in general.
Mhm.
I'm working, I'm trying. And as long as I'm trying, something is going to come from it. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess that's all I have to say about that one, but
No, and
yeah.
that's good. That was good. That was good. And we could
It
get to
was
that. Like
really good.
that was good because it definitely and I appreciate you being vulnerable about that because I could tell you about being in college college student is crazy. Let
It
me tell you
is.
about being a
College
college
student life
student.
is woof.
You probably learn the most you'll ever learn in college that you ever will in your life,
Mhm.
but you also the brokest you'll probably ever be in your life in college.
Absolutely.
Like college is something that's just like it is absolutely a thing. I love my. I went to HBCU. I didn't go to a PWI.
Wish.
HBCU, and I was blessed to go there because I feel like they teach you a little bit harder because it's that personal connection there. So shout
Mhm.
out Livingstone. So if you have the option to go to HBCU, just learn whatever. Take a semester just to learn some bull crap. But just go. I think everybody should go to a HBCU just to see what it's like. So that's just my spin on HBCUs, man. But definitely is just some shame there. It definitely is some shame there. And the fact that you were vulnerable about being the type of friend while the rest of your friends going out or pledging or doing whatever, you couldn't do those things. So
Man,
I want to do a follow up question just for you
Mhm.
specifically. Were there ever moments where you felt like I'm f this class, f this, I'm gonna go and do what I want to do for a night or two or whatever, and there was backlash because of that?
I wanna say no, because for me so I was a student and I paid 100% out of pocket for both of my degrees. There was not the option of me not going. In my mind, I had already decided there is no option of not going to class because I actually paid for this class. It wasn't a loan, it wasn't a scholarship, it wasn't money that came from somebody else. I went to work And then after I got out of work, I like even the way that I pay my tuition, I know it's due at the end of the semester. Every time I get a check, I was putting money on that tuition. Like there was no option to not go to class. I might have felt bad. I'm like, dang, I really do want to go out. But even if I went out, I still need to be up by 7:30 in the morning so that I can be on that campus because they close them doors and they don't let you in. And they don't play about that.
And don't
And
play
so
about.
Don't play it about it
We'll
at
look
all.
and
at you
so
through the window.
it'd
Where
be
you
like,
gonna sleep tonight? Cause it ain't gonna be here. Like I don't know where you
yeah.
sleep.
And so no, for me, there was not an option to never not go to class, no matter what I was doing, because that was my money and I was paying. That was hard earned money too that I was paying to go to them people's class, and so I was gonna be there.
Well, like I said, I guess it's because I had a scholarship my first semester with Cers. I was man, look, like
Listen,
But
I'm
no, to be
man,
telling
fair
you,
though, like I've
as
heard other people. Oh, sorry.
no, no, no. I went to a PWI too, so I'm just saying I feel you. I feel
Yeah.
you 100%. And like my grandmother, my auntie, my cousin, all of those people, they're AKA legacy. Like
mhm.
so it was always like I'm talking they had already bought me pearls and all this stuff. They just knew. And I was like, baby, who? Who has who has time? Who has the finances to make this happen? Because when you're in nursing school, you eat, breathe, sleep it. And I was
Mhm.
in
Yes.
nursing school and working at the hospital as a patient care tech. So I was in the hospital every day. So tell me who. So I was
Who?
watching everybody, watching my roommates play, watching them party. They was out throwing that thing, and I'm like, no, I got a test tomorrow. I even said this one had me so weak. They were so upset with me because they brought all these guys back from a party. Now, mind you, woke me up out my sleep like I don't have class the next day. You know what I did because I had class the next day? I stayed up for just a moment, let them play like one little quick game of Jenga, and to ensure my peace and my sleep, I actually rounded those guys up, put them in my car, and took them back to the HBCU they came from myself.
I know that's right.
Myself.
Shout out to you. Shout out to you.
Shout
Because
out to you for making sure they got home safe because
yeah, see,
putting
W
people out
Karen.
and not having no way to get home, anything could have happened between your house or y'all's house and where they went. And so
Yes.
shout out to you for making sure, even though they wanted to stay and have a good time, that they even made it home safely.
Tell you
Because a
what,
lot of people don't go home safe.
me doing that, we ended up being really good friends with those guys, and they're all very successful now. One of them, high rank military, married, beautiful house, beautiful kids. The other one moved back to California, multiple businesses, and owns a record studio, all types of stuff. Like when I
Yes.
think back on it, what looked like sacrifices at that time, what looked like me giving up fun and all that other stuff, all of those things, even though it sucked, we're in better positions now because of
Hmm.
those moments. And now I understand my parents a little bit better too. Like they was getting it out the mud and we was eating cinnamon toast.
Facts, facts. So that's good. So yeah, y'all are really good at having foresight and just making sure y'all. Because let me tell you, I grew up in a family where we're just my whole family is very reactionary,
Hmm.
very reactionary, and so it was definitely hard for I didn't really learn on how to be proactive, right? My brother is the first person in my family to actually learn how to be proactive and think proactively. And that was hard for him. He was actually in the very first podcast I had about being chat. What was the name of the first episode? I know y'all remember before. It basically was talking about what is it like being first, breaking generational curses, right?
What?
And so I had him because he was the one who broke our generational curse about money. So Sam, you my brother, but and I watch you do this, but at the same time, what does it feel like for you to be the first person in the family that got money? To be the first person that so what is that? So he told me a lot of stuff that I didn't think about from his point of view, that stuff he had to do, sacrifices he had to make, all that. And I was just like, hey, I didn't think about it. Cause I'm just a little brother watching.
Yeah.
So
But
it,
even thinking about productivity and how we do it now, proactivity is a reaction
Mhm.
to that. And so
mm,
it is reactivity now being refocused.
Yeah.
mm.
No,
I like
seriously,
I like how you put that. I like how you put that.
it's because being first is hard. I'm first. I'm the oldest sister. I'm the first to get out of the house to get a job. First person out of my siblings to build a house. This first house of mine we built from ground up. Like I
Mhm.
was the first person to like within my immediate family to go off to college, graduate with a degree, and all
Mhm.
of that stuff. What that did was my mother ended up going back to school.
That's
Mm.
right. Yeah.
And then like so but I wasn't always like that. A lot of the time I was reactive because that's what I grew up in. But I got
Right.
tired of getting bumped on the head. I was like, hey, yo, there's got to be another way. So that's when you start talking to people. And what I did was I started looking at others not in a way of comparison, but as a way of going, hey, give me the tea. What's the game plan? I don't want to be like you, but give me some tips so I can grow for me. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
So
And that's good. That is good. You know, being able to take those lessons and because I mean, look, me and my brother butt heads a lot. We butt heads a lot, and it's just because me personally, I'm seeing it. I've seen it more like, yo, like you abandoned us and stuff, and then now I'm at the age where I'm starting to realize it's because you abandoned, and I put that in quotations for a reason. That if you didn't do that, the help that we need now, we wouldn't be able to get.
that is so insane because my little sister, when I went off to college and I was in nursing school and
Mhm.
and I wasn't really present because I was so bogged down to be able to get where I am now. She felt the same way, but I didn't know that until we had a discussion. So a lot of us butting heads and us fighting and every time we were with each other, it wasn't great. It was because I didn't know where she was coming from and she didn't know why I was doing what I had to do.
Mhm.
So like hearing that, I'm just like it's so crazy how many people have like these similar dynamics out here. Like,
You might want to go back and watch that episode so you can hear what my brother had to say.
my
I
goodness,
think it was at the first or second episode. It's on the YouTube. I'll send it to you personally. But yeah,
yeah,
he told me a lot of different stuff about what it was like for him, and I was like, of course I knew some stuff, but it was definitely crazy. Because financial being growing up in financial hardships really make you have to make those hard decisions, right? It makes you have to make those hard decisions as a family member, as a brother, as a sister, as a mother, an auntie, whatever that Donald Trump didn't have to make. You know what I'm saying? Bill Gates and crew didn't have to make. They don't got to make these decisions. They
You know
don't
what
have to. You
else?
know what I'm saying? So,
You know what else? One thing I talk to my clients about too, because I've had a lot of my clients talk about when they siblings abandon them. One thing I try to like let them understand is also there is one or two people who had a responsibility to take care of you. It is your brother could not abandon you because he was not supposed to be the one doing that.
mhm,
It wasn't his responsibility, it wasn't his choice. And so him leaving, we have to reframe it as an abandonment and him
mhm,
just going to do what he needed to do. If
right,
y'all are in struggle, the abandonment came from the parents. And if you need to be mad at somebody and focus that somewhere, focus it on your parents. But you're gonna have to forgive your brother for a a title or a blame that you put on him that shouldn't even been there in the first place. It's not a
mhm.
can't abandon you if you wasn't my child. You're not my responsibility. I love you, but you're not my responsibility. I'm not supposed to be taking care of you.
And it took me, me personally, it
Yeah.
took me a while to get there. It
Yeah.
took me a while, and I'm gonna be very honest. It took me for me to have to fill his role, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
For me, like, he was a person where everything was on him. He was on him. I'm not gonna tell our whole life story, but everything was
Yeah.
on him for a while. It was all four of us. This like all three of us are in our house right now. It was all four of us in a one bedroom,
Hmm.
and so it was hard on him, 100%. And so after a while, I went to college. Stuff like that. He was just like, "Yeah, I can't. I'm done." And so I was very mad. I was very upset. Like I'm in college, and now my mom's homeless, my little brother homeless. I'm just like, and now I'm sitting in a dorm. It was a whole lot. It was a whole lot, and it took some years. That was about 10 years ago, and so now, as of 6 7 months ago, we're back to talking and being friends. I'm in a fantasy football league. I'm actually facing him this week in fantasy football. He beat my ass, but but it's fun. We can laugh, we can joke about it, stuff like that. But it did get to a point to where like, yeah, man, like, and he told me I had to secure my own mask. I had to secure my own mask. And he said, because I love you so much, I had to secure my mask so that when it comes time to put your mask on, I can do it safely. And I shouldn't have to make a choice between me or you. I'm about to save both. Yes, that meant you had to go through more pressure and more strain and more other stuff that you probably wouldn't have gone through if I was there. But we want to be better than we are now if I didn't do it. So it's like definitely is one of those catch 22s, and we're talking about financial struggles to where there's always gonna be a season where you're going through it.
Absolutely.
Like you said, Judge, you sleep in your car, but now you got now look at this. You got your bed sheets matches your chair. Like, things just doing you're doing you. You know what I'm saying? So like now you got coordinated chairs and shit. Like things happen, right?
This is actually my husband's gaming chair. Mine is over there. It's pink.
That's good. That's good. Some hey, it works. It works. So the point. Let me see. Let me see. God, I'm about to say, I think I've seen your stream. Yeah, you got a camera on your stream? Yeah, yeah. That's a cute chair.
Cute, cute.
My mom actually got that same chair. I don't know why. It was just funny. So yeah, you definitely got to have that financial know-how and being able to realize. And my brother said the same thing. He went through. He didn't know financial stability because, like I said, my family is not financially stable. None of us.
Yes.
None of us. So he had to learn that. And so it was definitely. I'm gonna send you an episode, Jess, so you can hear his point of view. He owns his own business, how it was in Dallas. Now it's everywhere. But yeah. So
I know that's right. Yes.
yeah. So now it's really good. He's a licensed mental health counselor.
Come
I think I
on,
forgot.
licensed mental health counselor.
And he's going to get his doctorate soon.
Okay, I'm trying to be like him.
Man, look, I love my brother. I love my brother. But let me see. So I'm actually asking him some of these questions. 'Cause I feel like some of these questions I need to know. But the next question I do have for everybody is, what keeps you hopeful? Whenever you guys are going through struggles, whenever you guys are going through different moments, or maybe finances have you down, or y'all think about the come up, right? That's the name of this episode, is the come up, right? What keeps you hopeful in those moments? Jazz, I remember you talking about doing stuff for the winter, for hats and stuff, and business stuff like that. Is that something that keeps you hopeful? When you think about where you are now and where you want to be in the future.
I'm be 100% honest. For those that know me, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm a ministry leader. So I live and believe 100% that, will I go through things? Absolutely. Life does not come without suffering. It does not come without going through. It does not come with seasons where you're in the valley. But I also look back at all the moments where I thought I wasn't good, where I was still covered and I was still good. So that's what keeps me hopeful. There was a lady at my church. She actually preached last week, and the title of the sermon was, "It may not be smooth, but it is well." And so that is a sentence that I live by. That's the words that my friend spoke over me at the beginning of the year. It is well. And so what gives me hope from a financial standpoint is that I know where I came from. I know where I am now. To know that I could come from there. So I will say there's not something that's like future based that gives me hope. It's more so the memory and the recollection of my journey that gives me
Mm.
hope. If I've gone from where I went to where I am, I see the vision of where I'm to go next. There's no way that I could go from where I was to where I am and not also be able to go from where I am right now to the next.
I know that's right.
Let me
Yeah.
tell you, all this is tying on to y'all are helping me. Which is why I love doing these podcasts, right? Because y'all are helping me. Everything is tying together, right? The sermon that I heard this morning from Pastor Furtick literally is verbatim, basically what you just said. And so I'm like, okay, I'm sitting listening to you, like, okay, God, you saying this to me for the third time today
So
from three
receive
different
it.
people. So I'm gonna shut up and just because obviously, if Pastor Furtick said it, NurseJazzy then said, okay, I get it. Okay, I get it. You yelling at me. I need you to stop yelling at me. I don't like being yelled at now. Have you ever had a moment where God just yell at you?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
all the
If you
time.
don't listen to the first time, he gonna make sure that you heard what he had said.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, I hear you. I hear you now. So Bree, same thing for you. What happens? What keeps you hopeful when the struggle feels like it's never ending?
To be fair, I think it is, well, I'm not gonna say I think. I know my purpose is to be in service of other people. And so although this grind is hard, to even be able to service other people, I'm gonna have to be able to have a story to tell them. Also, that I know that because my purpose is service to other people, God is not going to let me lack, because He wants me to get to that place that I am able to serve those other people. And so, although the struggle again is very hard, He is going to move me and keep moving me so that I'm able to do that for Him and for those people.
I did not expect this episode
Girl, I
to become
almost
like
took off
this.
running across the
Man, let
room.
me tell you,
Not gonna
I
let
did
me
not
laugh.
expect this. Let a disclaimer be known for
Mm-hmm.
this is not a religious podcast, but when the anointing is moving, it's moving and it cannot be stopped.
Well, we just happen to be religious people that you're talking to.
Exactly. So I try to keep politically correct, but sometimes you just gotta let stuff go. And so I can't control this. So 100%, your calling is service. And to be called to service, this is off topic a little bit, but let's talk about that really quick.
Mm-hmm.
To be called to service is something that is probably one of the hardest things to do. You are
Very
called
hard.
to put yourself in front of somebody else
Yeah,
for somebody else.
every
Mm-hmm.
day.
You're called to be a sponge. You're called to be a bulletproof vest. You're called to be a covering. You're called to, can we be honest for a second? You're called to go through pain so that way somebody else doesn't have to.
Mhm.
That is hard. That is hard.
Very hard.
But at the same time, it's very rewarding. And I think I have that same calling to where, like, if I could take the pain away from my loved ones, I will. With no hesitation, no second thought, no second guess. If I had to, I will. And I think that's what I think when I think of service, right? You
Mhm.
you just do it because that's God put it in you to make sure other people are good. And I don't think not everybody, and I'm glad you said that because that's something I've had to learn recently. Not everybody has that calling. A
No,
lot of
and
people do not have that calling.
I just think about like all this, like when I was financially stable or have gotten financially stable, and just even the stuff that I was doing, I'm like, God, I keep showing up for these people. I keep showing up, ain't nobody showing up for me. I keep showing up, ain't nobody showing up. I'm showing up good. I'm showing up well. I'm doing right by these folks and nobody's doing it. And He was like, they ain't supposed to. I told
They
you to
not
do that.
supposed to.
Girl, let me tell you something. When I said those words to him, he said, "So I'm nobody." I said,
Heard you.
"Wait a minute,
Say that.
wait,
I be
wait a
trying
minute,
you.
wait a
I ain't mean
minute,
like that. I ain't mean like that. Hold up. I ain't
wait a
mean
minute."
like that. I ain't mean like that.
I meant them folks.
But
I ain't
when
mean
it
like
is
that.
time for people to be able to carry you too, they come.
They
It may
do.
not be who you thought it was gonna be, so you have to be able to be ready to receive whoever it is that is called to be your person to hold you up. But when it's your time, oh, it's your time to
Yeah,
get you some help. And when you and the thing I'll say to that, and this ties into when you are going through the struggle, whether it's financially or whatever, when you're called to be people like us who are called to service, who are called to be there, or maybe we've had to be in positions where we had to care for other people. When it's your time for somebody to be there for you, keep your heart open to receive it. Keep your heart open to receive it.
Cause
Because
that's
when you're
hard.
going through that struggle, it's hard from a mental standpoint when you're normally the carrier, but that's the way that you're going to get through is when it is time for somebody to be there for you, you let them. We live by something, me and my people, we live by something called we don't do life alone. We don't do life alone. I don't believe any of the connections, not even this one right here, are like coincidence ever.
Mm-mm.
Ever.
Everything has a purpose. I believe the same thing. Everything has a purpose. There's a purpose why I met you, Jazz. There's a purpose why I met you, Bri. Even though I've known Bri for a while. I've known you for about what, a year and a half, 2 years now, Bri. We don't talk all the time, but when we do talk, it's always a good conversation. Always a good conversation. I totally forgot how we met. It was on Twitter somehow. but
I think so.
just some random thing on Twitter. And so we've been cool ever since. And so when I asked her to come on the show, that she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So, but even still, like I try to make sure I keep up on relationships. There's only been one relationship I've ever cut off, and that's I've recently cut that off. And chat had to help me cut it off because I don't cut people off. And
Shout
that's
out
because
to Chad.
it was just very, 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 it was very toxic. She was very toxic. Yeah, it's very, very toxic. So I had to cut that off. But I don't cut people off. So that was actually hard for me. Like cutting off something I was supposed to do, right? You know, pruning, as some would say. Since I mean, that sometimes being pruned hurts, right? That cutting that off
Hmm.
hurts, but you know, so that fear or that that badge of honor of struggling, and I think it's a false badge that a lot of people wear, right? That badge that I struggle, so I'm good, right? So that leads me to my next question right here. Do you believe struggle is necessary for to be a part of success, or is there some way, some type of cheat code that you can skip the struggle to get to success in whatever way you see success? Bree, I'm gonna ask you that. Do you think struggle is necessary for success?
Necessary? No, because there are people who are successful, obviously, who did not struggle. Some of us just don't come from that position in society that we don't have to struggle. I do believe that the struggle builds character, and you might behave better once you have the success. Because you understand the come up, you understand that, and how people coming behind you are feeling if they are also struggling. You'll notice like CEOs who are, I ain't gonna cuss, I guess, that are butt heads
Go ahead,
because they
Cass.
were given a position versus the CEO who came up and he was the janitor at some point in this building and now he runs this building and how he treats the rest of the staff in the building. And so is the struggle is necessary for character, but not necessarily for the success that comes. But that just depends on the person too.
Okay, okay. Jazz, what do you think? Do you think the struggle is necessary?
Nope, I sure don't. I do not. I actually had this argument with somebody because they're like, "I'm gonna make sure my kids struggle." I was like, "Excuse me, what are you talking
No,
about? What are you, what are, what
nobody
are,
that comes from me
what
will
are
be
you talking
struggling.
about? Like, if you don't have to, you shouldn't make them go through what you went through. The whole purpose is to provide them with something better." Now, I will say this: for those that don't have to, a lot of the time, the reason why they are still successful is because somebody broke it down for them. I'll give you an example. My husband, any level of struggle that was going through prior to him being old enough to know anything about it. The only parts of his life that he was old enough to really truly remember, his mom and dad had already gotten it together, and daddy was already in the midst of starting to get his promotions as an engineer. So
Mm-hmm.
you see what I'm saying? But even though his parents kept him and his brothers from having to know the struggle per se that they were going through on their front end to make things happen, they still made sure that each of them had a solid foundation and a solid like strategy and like visualize so they could see what it looks like for how you go through life so that you can achieve success on your own. So like my husband went through engineering school. That's how we met at the same school. And he is now a supervisor at he's a manager. He's an actual manager for a big weapons division. He could have just gone to go work with his dad, but his dad taught him how to get it himself, and he didn't make him struggle to have to do so. It's very very possible to go out there, be successful without having to go through struggle. Now, if you go through it, you go through it, and you take it for what it is and let it build you and not break you. But I don't feel like it's necessary. Helpful tools don't feel like it's necessary.
And I look, I love that. I love that. You know, once again, I have a different point of view because all I know is struggle. So I would say it's necessary. But Brie, I love how you said it. Like, yes, of course, it's not necessary, but it's necessary if you want to be a good person. I think. I don't think I've ever met somebody go through a struggle who's not a good person. Like someone who made it out is not a good person. I think
No, not that either, because you'll also meet people who used to struggle and they get to the other side and now they hate everybody that was over here.
Yeah, you
So
know
it
what?
really
No,
depends on it
there are
depends on
definitely
the
some people like
environment
that.
you're in
No,
and
no,
the
you
people
right.
you meet.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. There are definitely people like that who shun the struggle so much. Like you wasn't just out there, like we wasn't at cookout together, slurping on the same milkshake because we couldn't afford two different milkshakes. Like let's be real about it. Like so, I definitely understand. There's definitely people like that too. We ain't talking about the fake people today, though. We ain't gonna talk about the fake people today. We talk about being real. So no, because 100% though, that is true. That is true. But yeah, I think that for me, the struggle. I got. I'm gonna change my answer. The struggle is not necessary, but it is helpful, like Bree said, to really so you become a better manager, right? Because being successful and being, I'm gonna put it this way.
Well, hold on too. I also think we are, well, in that sentence that you just had, we're mixing up like necessary with optional. Like you
Hmm.
didn't have the option to not struggle because it just wasn't presented to you that way. If you had the option to not do it, obviously you would have chose the smoother route because who wouldn't? It would be crazy to be
Right,
like having the option, I'm gonna choose the worst one. Or not the worst one, but like the harder
a
one.
harder one. Yeah, 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 for sure, for
And
sure.
so and that it was necessary for you because it wasn't an option for you to choose something else.
Hmm.
But given the option, obviously, we're gonna be like, yeah, give me the smooth sailing. Of course I want that.
That is true. So I don't. I think now I talk about the struggle as a badge of honor because it is. I think when you make it out of a very hard time, like my brother did with a family, or like some people do, like some people might have it worse. Like I came up from a Christian household, but some people have it worse. Like their families be on drugs. I have a friend who grew up who he has to live with the fact that he was very disrespectful to his mother, and then his mother died, so he never can change how he treated her. To this day, that she died almost 20 years ago, and he still talk about it. I should have treated my mother better. So it's just like, yes, everybody has their own things, but yeah, that badge of honor is definitely something different, right? And I think financially, when it comes to the come up, when it comes to making it places, that badge of honor is a badge that I think people should be more proud to wear, right? I like we talked about before. I don't like people who make it out the hood and then act like the hood don't exist once they get there. Like I don't like that. I don't like that. Yes, you made it out the hood. I'm a big believer in going back and help the hood, but not everybody like that. I understand. You can do what you want to do once you get there. That's why I love That. I love That. I love how he looks out for his boys. I love how that's why when he hit 1 million subs at 2 o'clock this morning, I was there. I was tired as hell,
Good.
but when he hit at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was right there. 1 million subs, man, that's awesome. I love to see a black man get paid.
I
So to
do
be
too.
when I see, to be the biggest sub person on Twitch, it was a million subs was just insane. So yeah, when LeBron cuts his hair, not tomorrow, but the day after, I'm gonna be there too. So the point I'm trying to say is like, yeah, the struggle is not necessary, but I don't think I will. I don't think I will want to do it without struggle at the same time, like you said. And
I don't think we also want to like romanticize struggling. Like we don't want to be like this is a good thing. It's not. Lose they people lose their lives from struggling too much. It messes up their
mhm,
brains. They can't even like struggling too much before your frontal lobe is fully developed. That causes you to lead a life that you stay in survival and struggle mode. Like you
right.
can't even enjoy your life because of that. And so I do think we should not reward ourselves, but like pat ourselves on the back for being resilient, for being empathic, for being creative, for making it,
Yeah,
but not romanticize the part that we were struggling.
right. I
And I
agree. I
think,
agree. Same
go ahead.
thing. I just feel like we can acknowledge that we struggled, that it was a part of our journey, without making it our identity.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's the part where I think a lot of people like go wrong. Once they make it their identity, they have made it out of the struggle, but again, they still struggle to come out of their mindset because it's like, well, this is where I came from, this is where I came from, this is where I came from, this is where I came from. Acknowledge it, be very grateful and very proud of where you have came from without again making that be all that you are, because again it's not fun. The struggle is not fun. People kill themselves over it. Let's just be honest. When it comes, because when you're in that struggle, a lot of people don't know about the resources that are out there for mental health, and some people just don't have access, period.
Mhm.
So, like, I never ever want to romanticize that, but I definitely want people to be proud of doing what they had to do and making the best out of where they were.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. And I agree with you 100%. Let's not romanticize it. I think I can say this because, we are religious in here. So I think the thing that would gets me out that got me out the struggle, even though I'm still going through it, got you out, is we all had a strong footing in the church, right? I'm not now, if you guys are watching this episode and you're not religious, I understand. I'm not telling you have to come. I'm not saying I'm not forcing it on you. I'm speaking from my point of view and maybe from y'all's as well. That footing, that stability that I talked about before in the church is what really helped me out personally. Because there are times where you see somebody get shot. There are times when the lights do turn off, you don't know when next time they're gonna turn on. There are times where you ate some food that's not good for you, but it's literally all you got so you don't starve. Like there are times where you go through that to where it's like, or you have to choose not eat at all, where it's like you think, God, is this my life? Like I've had that conversation. Like, is this all I'm destined for? Am I destined to this is it? And so you have to, but having those conversations with God, him, and you have to learn to listen so he can answer you back and say, no, this is not your job. This is not your life. This is where you at right now.
Mhm.
Mm,
And so and that's hard, and I can say that 'cause I recently, like I said, I was homeless a couple months ago. Recently had this conversation, and I think what changed in me at 30 years old, took me 30 years to get this, was to realize you have to be able to praise God when you don't got anything. It's easy to
Absolutely.
mm,
praise him. It's so easy to praise him when you got everything going for you. So easy. Like, and it's so easy to be happy and be a cheerful, godly person when you got money in the bank, your bills paid, your husband loving you, your wife loving you. That's easy. But when you don't got no roof over your head, you don't know where you're gonna sleep. When you gotta live out your car, when you don't know how you gonna fill the car up, when you don't know if you're gonna keep your job because you can't juggle your job when you just don't know, but stuff still happens. Okay, now how you gonna praise him? Because like literally Pastor Furtick said to say, like he just said today, the devil gonna let you know he ain't here. He's not here in this situation. He wants you to think that God's not here in the situation. He's not here in this struggle. And so there's
Mhm.
a lot of times that people in the struggle, especially with like we talk about romanticizing the struggle, right?
Mhm.
I think a lot of times people romanticize it, and that's why it's very easy for them to turn to drugs, turn to being a drug dealer, a gangbanger, or whatever, because you think there's no way out, or the only way out is school or whatever, or basketball or whatever. But for me, I'm so glad I knew God to help me through those dark, dark, dark moments. To just say recently, "Hey, I don't know, I have no idea how this gonna work, but what I do know is you told me."
Mhm.
Sometimes you gotta challenge that. I don't know God how it's gonna done, but you told me if I call on you, it's gonna be all right. And so sometimes you gotta do that. And so for me that helped. That helped when I was just able to tell God, you told me this was your word. And you said I was gonna be okay. You said if I brought my stuff to you, you would work it out. That's what you
Mhm.
told me. I'm putting your word against you. And so it worked out for me doing that. Um, so I say that to say, man, the struggle is definitely not should not be romanticized at all. Should not be
Yeah.
romanticized, but at the same time, it's not something to be scoffed at either, right? So with
No, no,
that,
no, no.
right. So looking back, and this is just the closing reflections on this couple things, just to really end off the podcast here. And chat, if anybody in chat has any questions for Bree or for Nurse Jazzy, let me know. Looking back, and Brie won't let you go first here. Looking back on your own journey with everything you've had to go through, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone in the same grind, trying to climb out of lower middle class struggles or worse? What is something you would give to them to motivate them to climb out and be better?
That if you stop before you reach your goal, you will not, you're just not going to make it. You will stay at the same point. There is something on the other side. You could be literally right there. So you just got to keep going, keep pushing, and to seek out your resources. Like a lot of people that I work with, I'm a therapist, they just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And so ask the questions, but keep grinding.
Yeah, you gotta be able to do that. You gotta be able to do that because, and I appreciate you for saying that because pride is definitely a thing. Let's just keep it
Absolutely.
real, and it's not just a man thing either. I know a lot of prideful women as well.
Absolutely.
Pride is a thing, and so I think pride can stop you from from progressing to where you need to be. So
It'll
don't be
stop
too
you from
prideful.
asking the questions you need to ask, asking for the help you need. Like, I know a lot of my clients, I know what they need, but I can't even give it to them until they ask me. And I'm like, if you just tell me that you want one of these, I can go get it. So tell me you want it. And they won't say it. And so
Yeah,
make sure, ask everything. Ask for everything. The worst thing somebody can tell you is no. And then you go ask somebody else because somebody else got it. So, yeah,
somebody got it.
somebody
And
got it.
and if nobody on this earth got it, I know somebody anyway. Jazz, we gonna call you because we ain't about to turn this to a whole church sermon, man. We could never do that. Man.
I mean, but we
Uh,
can.
we can. But so once again, Jazz, looking back on your own journey, what you've all gone through, what's one piece of advice you give to someone in the same grind or maybe a similar grind that you've gone to, trying to climb out of lower middle class struggles, and what advice you give to that person?
Keep your head up, stay grounded, keep your mind on the goal. If you got to write it out, if you got to put it on your wall, if you got to put it on a sticky note, make it a reminder on your phone. Don't forget the goal. Definitely, when it's time for help, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions because there are people who have gone through what you've gone through already and they
Hmm.
can give you some advice that can keep you from having to make the same mistakes that they made while on the journey. But more importantly, just keep your head up. You got it more than you think you do. So don't doubt yourself. You got it more than you think you do. And that's my biggest thing that I would say. Do not doubt yourself, your ability, your capability to be able to press through because you got it. You got it in you.
Definitely got it in you. And I'm just saying this from my own personal stuff. From my own personal what I've gone through. And if anybody's been on this podcast, you guys have heard what I've gone through. Bits and pieces, bits and nuggets, stuff like that. Even when you don't think you got it, you do got it. You because God knows what you can handle. He does not put anything on your shoulder you cannot handle. Even though it may feel like it's gonna crush you, it's not. It's definitely gonna be painful, but you just gotta push through. Because one thing about it, it's just a season. And
Hmm.
I know seasons can feel like lifetimes sometimes. Seasons can feel like lifetimes, but I promise you they're not. They're
But you
only
can.
lifetimes if you make them lifetimes. So don't make them a lifetime. Don't make them a lifetime. Push forward, keep going, do what you know how to do. And when you don't know how to do it, find somebody who does and then mimic them.
Mhm.
But with that, man, thank you guys so much for coming on to this episode of the Cool Down Den. It was an awesome, awesome podcast. A very spiritual episode. I not think we're gonna go deep into this, but I'm glad we did. Anybody who wants to be on the show, Bay Lovely, I see you in the chat, lady. Thanks for coming through as always. Angela, thanks for coming in. If anybody would like to be on the show, I'm now accepting guests for next month's podcast. We have a whole plethora of different topics coming on next month. You guys are not going to miss. So make sure I go subscribe to the Cool Down Den podcast on Spotify as well as YouTube because you guys not going to miss out any of the conversations because they do get hot in here, but we always keep it cool with our mindset. Thank y'all so much for coming in, and I'll see y'all next time. I'm gonna send y'all over to Shara, Twitch, YouTube. I mean, I ain't gonna send y'all to nobody because I don't know how to do it on YouTube yet. But thank y'all so much. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. Bye.